Today, we're talking some of the most overhyped makeup products and just makeup brands in general. With the rise of social media and especially short form content, a product can go viral so quickly. Sometimes a product goes viral before it's even fully announced or it's even available for people to actually test out. The Rare Beauty Liquid Contour is one of the most recent releases that pops into my mind. It just came out maybe a few days ago, but Rare Beauty had sent out these PR packages kind of hinting at something coming. So before it was even fully announced, it had people talking about the brand, the product, what it could be, speculating. And then when it actually hit, the website and people were able to test it out and try it, it already had all of that like anticipation built up around it. So the product itself is getting a lot of attention. And again, part of that is due to the success of the Rare Beauty Liquid Blush, but that's just one example. But these days, it seems like it's happening more and more. So it's hard to know if a product is actually worth the hype. If it's not, it's hard to know who is being genuine when they're reviewing it, who's trying to get clicks and views. So whenever I ask you what you think the most overhyped makeup brand is, Charlotte Tilbury pops up over and over, probably more than any other brand, and that's been the case for a long time. Charlotte Tilbury definitely focuses on a certain aesthetic, as do a lot of brands. So I can understand why people might fall in love with the brand, because if they're constantly building off like a very specific launch or certain color stories, it might be easy to just purchase specifically from that brand, or maybe you genuinely like the formulas. But in the end, I definitely think it is one of the most overhyped makeup brands out there. Without a doubt, one of the most overhyped products from the brand is the Magic Cream. I have seen so much hype surrounding this product. I've heard people say that it is game-changing, it's life-changing, your skin will look 10 years younger, it reduces the appearance of wrinkles, it makes you look hydrated and refreshed and renewed. Pretty much anything you can think of when it comes to a moisturizer, that's how they market this product. But in the end, they kind of claim or they kind of imply that it's magic. This is one of the most expensive moisturizers at Sephora, with the exception of like La Mer. I'm pretty sure it is the most expensive. 1.7 ounces of this product retails for $100. I finally got the chance to try this out. I did not spend $100 on it. I don't know if it came as like a Sephora gift with purchase. It might have been a point perk. I remember getting it with some sort of order and then just putting it in my bathroom, and I was like, I'll try it at a later time. We were going out of town. I needed like a small travel size moisturizer, and I was like, this is the perfect time to try it out. Let me be honest, it is a nice moisturizer. It definitely has a really beautiful texture. My skin looked radiant and smooth and hydrated, but I have tried so many moisturizers that give me a very similar result, both in the way my skin looks and feels, that I do not understand the hype surrounding this product. I am not a chemist, so maybe there are amazing ingredients in here that kind of justify that higher end price point. They do have things like hyaluronic acid, vitamin C, vitamin E, peptides, but there are so many moisturizers out there at all different price points that have very similar ingredients. When it comes down to it, I think we all know there isn't a skincare product out there that is truly magic. And there's nothing wrong with buying high-end or even luxury skincare if that's something you want to do, but also understand that a brand like Charlotte Tilbury is really good at marketing. I mean, they call it the Magic Cream, so even the name alone is kind of appealing, and the promises, the results, kind of like the surveys of people who have used it, all kind of draw you in and make you think this is going to be a life-changing, game-changing moisturizer, when in the end, there isn't really a magic skincare product out there that is going to give you the most amazing results. We could probably spend the entire video talking about overhyped Charlotte Tilbury launches, to be honest, but another one that I thought of, probably one of the first products that I thought of years ago, so not necessarily as overhyped these days, but definitely in the past, were her eyeshadow quads. You get 4 different shadows for $55, which is incredibly expensive, but the actual formula is so underwhelming. I know she's done limited edition holiday launches, so those palettes might have differed in terms of quality, but whenever I watch a review on her palettes, whether it is like a permanent launch or a limited edition launch, people are so underwhelmed. I think as a whole, most people agree there are significantly better eyeshadow formulas out there, and Charlotte Tilbury is actually coming out with a new 9-pan eyeshadow palettes. I was kind of surprised when I saw that this was Charlotte Tilbury at first, because it looks so similar to a brand like Makeup Revolution or ColourPop, and I love drugstore eyeshadow so much. I have a ton of ColourPop 9-pan palettes that I think perform beautifully, but it just goes to show you can get a very similar palette for a less expensive price, and I'll go as far to say that I think most of the time, ColourPop's eyeshadow quality is going to top Charlotte Tilbury's, at least in the past. So at the time that I'm filming this, there hasn't been like an official release date announced. It looks like the palettes are going to retail for $69, $39, which is a lot of money for 9 eyeshadows. Now, I have spent that amount of money on eyeshadow before. I've purchased Patrick Ta, Makeup by Mario, Natasha Denona. Like a lot of higher end brands are charging almost $70 for a palette these days, which just sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud. But these palettes actually look pretty small. If you look at the photos and the size in the model's hands, they look pretty tiny. And again, because Charlotte Tilbury has never really been known for having the most amazing high quality formula out there, I just can't really believe they're going to be worth that $70 price point. I could be wrong. It could be a new or improved formula that performs flawlessly, but I would recommend checking these out in person because I have a feeling they're going to be overhyped, just like most products from Charlotte Tilbury tend to be. So I actually haven't purchased much from Hourglass in the past few years. I used to love their ambient lighting blushes, and I think I still have one or two in my collection, and I definitely understand why people love their powders because they're very lightweight, they're really pretty on the skin, but I do think as a whole, Hourglass is a brand that was really overhyped, and even now some of their launches still get a ton of hype. One really overhyped product that I did pick up was their Phantom Volumizing Glossy Lip Balm.
You had to buy one product in 2024. Let it be this one. This is the one lip that gets me stopped at every wedding I attend, every dinner I go to. It's magic.
I found my new Holy Grail lip product. I was in a wedding last weekend and the bride, the makeup artist, every single bridesmaid was asking me what it is.
To be honest, it is a very beautiful formula. It kind of melts onto the lips in a really nice way. It gives your lips like this glossy, full appearance. And I do love the shades that they have launched, the ones that I've tried. But in the end, I have to say that product is so overhyped. It's $38. $38 for a glossy lip balm just sounds absolutely ridiculous when you say it out loud. It really does, even if it is a nice formula, because at this point, every single brand, both drugstore and high-end, have launched their version of a glossy lip balm. And the formulas differ a little bit. Some are thicker, some are thinner, but you can get a very, very similar look at any price point. Even if you're not a big fan of the drugstore, you can go to Sephora and pick up something like the Makeup by Mario Moisture Glow Plumping Lip Serum, and it feels pretty much the same on the lips. Even if you're not buying something that's like a click up glossy stick, you can probably get like some sort of lip oil, lip gloss hybrid that ends up looking and feeling pretty close. So I just feel like that launch was incredibly overhyped for what it is because there are so many alternatives out there. In fact, the ColourPop, what are they called? The ColourPop So Juicy Plumping Gloss Balms, in my opinion, are almost an identical dupe. And those are $10 and they come with a little bit more product. So essentially you can get like 4 of those for the price of one Hourglass lip balm, or just buy one and save yourself $28. Again, a really pretty formula. And I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes really good makeup products are still overhyped. It doesn't just apply to bad products that get a ton of hype. Sometimes a formula is nice, it wears well, but the amount of hype it gets, especially on social media, is still really over the top when there are so many other alternatives out there that perform really similarly. A brand I really love, but I can definitely admit is overhyped, is the brand Merit. So I definitely understand why people like the brand. I think they do really beautiful, kind of like softer, more natural formulas. If you are into lighter, everyday makeup, if you don't want something too thick or too heavy or too strong and intense, Merit has a lot of gorgeous formulas that basically melt into the skin and look like a second skin. But I do feel like sometimes Merit can launch something and it can be something so simple that pretty much any brand could do it, and it's held in such high regard because it's Merit. And that comes down to the brand doing a really great job at marketing to the correct audience and just a good job with marketing in general as they launch new products, because it might be simple, but they make you feel like it's an elevated everyday experience as you're using it. Do you guys remember this launch? I think it was the end of 2023 when these came out, or like fall of 2023. They did such a good job with the campaign for this launch because they took what would have been maybe more of a boring release and they made it a must-have for so many people. I almost think of another brand launched single cream shadows that weren't necessarily anything super unique. It wouldn't have gotten as much attention. Like if Hourglass launched these, I feel like people wouldn't be talking about them. But I remember Merit was doing a lot of work with marketing this product. Like I saw sneak peeks all over social media and they were kind of again, you know, implying that this was going to be an everyday staple essential. And for a lot of people, maybe it is. I know there are people out there who enjoy this product, but I will say, like, after that initial launch, I didn't hear anyone talk about this product. Like, all of 2024, I don't think I saw this pop up in one video on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. And obviously, we all have like different subscription feeds, different, you know, For You pages. But I feel like this is the true definition of a product that was extremely overhyped. For me personally, I found the formula to be kind of underwhelming. It looked a little bit patchy on my eyes, which I do think they meant for these to be used in different ways. Like, you could create a fully opaque look, you could do something a little bit more sheer, but when I blended them out, they ended up looking kind of uneven, and it would basically give me like a muddy, patchy look, which just isn't ideal when it comes to a cream shadow. They usually faded on me by the end of the day, and they did crease on me, even if I primed my eyes beforehand. The way that I've been able to make them work is by using them as eyeliner, but I really don't reach for them that often these days. And even in that way, I never really wanted to recommend them on my channel because there are less expensive cream and gel eyeliner formulas out there. Rare Beauty is a brand that I do think tends to be a little bit overhyped. I hesitate to put them in the same category as some of the other brands I'm talking about in today's video, like Charlotte Tilbury or maybe Patrick Ta, for a couple of reasons. First of all, I do think their products are definitely more reasonably priced, and with some of the products, you actually get a lot for the price, like their liquid blushes. So you spend like $24, $25 on a product, but it ends up lasting you a really long time. I definitely think they have some really high quality launches that have deserved the hype they've gotten. I know Selena Gomez is really passionate about mental health, and they do really great things with the Rare Beauty Impact Fund. And even though I believe it was confirmed by Rare Beauty, the packaging wasn't necessarily designed for people with mobility issues in mind. I know people who have mobility issues have said that they do find it easier to use. So all around, there are some great qualities when it comes to Rare Beauty as a whole. And there are even a few others that I'm like slowly thinking of as I'm sitting here. But in the end, I do think a lot of their products are very overhyped by association because it is Rare Beauty, it's Selena Gomez, they have some really great products already, and people just genuinely love the brand, which there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes I don't think a product fully gets judged on like the actual quality of that individual product without having like the brand Rare Beauty kind of influencing the opinion, if that makes sense. So anyway, all of that to say, there are products I really love, but I think a lot of us can agree the Soft Pop Luminous Powder Blushes were very overhyped. And honestly, I think part of it came down to the fact that people were just excited about this launch. A really pretty kind of luminous, glowy powder blush was perfect. And a lot of brands ended up coming out with glowy blushes within like the next year after that. So not that Rare Beauty was like fully ahead of the game because glowy blushes have been around for forever at this point. It does seem like they maybe were ahead of like the most recent wave of glowy blushes. I do have two shades and I do like these. I think they're pretty on the skin. I don't end up using them as much as I initially thought I would. I think they are best applied over a liquid blush, whether that's Rare Beauty's formula or someone else's. And I do think they tend to enhance a lot of texture on the skin. And it's not that you have to always reach for like a smoothing, blurring formula and you have to try to fool everyone into thinking you don't have texture on your skin. But if you're someone who doesn't like to draw attention to that area, these aren't going to be the most ideal option. Again, I did end up wearing these a little bit more when they first launched. And then I think once the hype died down, I myself didn't really end up reaching for them quite as much. It is a really pretty product, but it's absolutely not going to be for everyone. And I think a lot of those initial reviews as people received the PR package either glazed over or fully omitted the big cons. And there are a lot of glaring or potential cons when it comes to this product. And when you're reviewing a product, like if you truly love it, there's nothing wrong with that, whether you received it as PR or you purchased it for yourself. But I do think it's important to mention if there are some big potential cons, like the fact that it really highlights texture. There's not necessarily like a lot of pigment to this blush. It's more so like a highlighter blush hybrid, and just a couple of things that might really influence whether or not someone wants to purchase that product or skip over it. So I definitely think this was one of their most overhyped launches. And now that that initial hype has died down, you don't really see a ton of people talking about these or using them regularly. I'm curious to know what you think was like the most overhyped makeup product of the last 5 years, because for me, I feel like this has to be up there. I don't know if it would be number one, but I almost feel like it would, because I remember when this product was announced, there was so much hype surrounding it, and it actually sold out so fast. Like every single shade sold out on Sephora's website, and they couldn't keep it in stock. So I'm curious to know if you think there's anything that tops this, but I had to mention it in today's video, the Rare Beauty Tinted Lip Oil, or the official name is the Soft Pinch Tinted Lip Oil Stain. So I had this in a bin of decluttered products. When I declutter my products, I have them, I keep them, and I pass them along to friends and family. Like if someone specifically asks me for something, or if people come over, they can go through it. Products don't usually remain in there for a long time, but sometimes there are products that people just don't grab for whatever reason. And this product was actually still in there. And I pulled it out because I was wondering if the new NYX lip stains were a good alternative to this product. I almost remembered this product being thicker than it was, and then I wore this again the other day, and it's actually a lot thinner than I remember. I remember someone talking about this product in a video, and I wish I could remember who it was. It was someone on YouTube, and they said that their theory was that Rare Beauty was originally formulating this as like a glossy lip stain. And then when lip oils exploded and became super popular, they pivoted and started marketing this as an actual lip oil just to kind of fall in line with trends. I mean, that was speculation. And again, I can't remember who said that, but I was like, that actually makes so much sense, because at the time, lip oils were gaining a lot of popularity. And for some brands, they can churn out products super quickly, like ColourPop. But for other brands, products are in the works for a long time, like months to years at a time. So if they were originally working on this as a glossy lip stain, I think it makes more sense because of the initial texture, the initial formula. It really doesn't feel or wear like a lip oil at all. And I think part of the reason that this product got so much hype is because they were marketing it as a lip oil. When you initially apply it, it has like this lightweight, almost gel texture, very, very similar to so many other glossy lip stains. And then once that wears off, you're left with a little bit of a stain. The issue for me was that this stain dried out my lips. It was really unflattering. It would cling to any dry areas or any areas on my lips that were not like perfectly smooth, and then the stain would fade pretty quickly throughout the day. At this point, a ton of brands have done glossy lip stains, so I don't even think I would recommend trying this if you're looking for a glossy lip stain. But if you're looking for a true lip oil, I would absolutely skip over it. And I don't know how much this comes up. Again, like I hear no one talking about this any longer. After that initial hype died down, I feel like for so many people, they didn't end up reaching for it again. So this might be a little bit of a controversial one, but I do think the Makeup by Mario palettes are some of the most overhyped palettes out there. And I have a few, and I do think they're good. I've reviewed them on my channel. I've used them in probably a few different videos, but I still think as a whole, the palettes are overhyped, especially the Ethereal Eyes palette. And I think I said that in my initial review when I talked about this. I missed out on it initially when they first released it, and I fell for the hype. I ended up buying it when they brought it back. This palette was $68, and I just don't think the quality of this palette feels like a $68 palette. Like, again, that's how much Patrick Ta charges Natasha Denona. Natasha Denona does make one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas, and when I compare that formula to this formula in my mind, this feels kind of underwhelming. I do think the shimmer shadows in here are really beautiful. They have like that wet looking kind of scattered effect on the eyes, but the mattes are pretty underwhelming. I do think his fully matte palettes are better in terms of formulation. I think for some people, they look at these and they're like, yeah, that is obviously an overhyped product. It looks incredibly boring. I'm not drawn to it. It looks like everything else I already own. But I think because Makeup by Mario is a makeup artist and an incredibly talented one, and you know, I don't know exactly how much say he has in his products. I'm sure he has quite a bit, because in the end, it is his name on the brand. But you know, when I think of these like makeup artist founded brands, they really understand color theory. They really understand skin tones and what's flattering on the eyes and the face in a way that maybe some other brands don't. And even though sometimes the colors in his neutral palettes look boring, I find that when I actually wear them on the eyes, or if I'm doing someone else's makeup, like a cousin or a sister or a niece for a special occasion, like I always find myself reaching for his palettes because they're really, really flattering. But I don't find the formulas to be viral worthy. Like if Natasha Denona did a palette like this, I'd probably buy it and absolutely fall in love with it. I'm actually wearing the newest Natasha Denona palette on my eyes. I ordered these two products, the Makeup by Mario Gloss and the Natasha Denona like 5-pan matte palette back in December. And I don't think I've done a video using them because my package actually like never showed up and then they sent me a new one. So I just got it maybe like a week ago. But anyway, the Natasha Denona palette to me is worth it because I love her formulas so much. It's creamy, it's smooth, it's so easy to work with. And I just find the Makeup by Mario formula to be a little bit dry, kind of underwhelming. I will say this matte palette impressed me more than the matte shadows in Ethereal Eyes. They still feel a little bit dry as you're using them and applying them. They're kind of powdery. I feel like in the end, the look always comes together and they blend well together. But I just think overall, his palettes as a whole tend to be kind of overhyped for what they are. Don't take a shot every time I say the word overhyped in this video because I have said it 1 million times already. I swear some people are lying about how much they love the Say Slip Tint Concealer. I know there are people who like it, who truly genuinely like it, but the amount of hype that product had surrounding it makes me believe people did not like it as much as they said they did. That concealer creases horribly. It creases instantly. It's glowy, but not in a really flattering way. It almost has this like odd luminosity to it that is not flattering on me. It breaks apart fast. It doesn't really blend in a good way. I know I just talked about this in my worst products of 2024 video, but I've probably used it like 10 times since then. And I don't know why. I thought I could end up mixing it with more of a matte concealer in my collection, but it looks terrible every single time. It can take the most amazing, perfect concealer and just like instantly downgrade it if I add in like a tiny drop of it. Again, not to say there are people who don't like it or that you're wrong if you like that product and it works for you. I wish it worked for me, but I do think the hype surrounding that product is truly confusing. I bought that because I saw everyone raving about it. Initially, it wasn't on my list, and I don't understand because if you don't have dry skin and you have any sort of line under your eyes, a deep wrinkle, a fine line, how do you make it work for you? I want to say a category as a whole that seems to be getting a lot of hype right now would be plumping lip liners. I feel like a lot of brands are coming out with these products or they have done them. Too Faced has done them. I feel like that's the brand that I think of the most. Someone else just did them, a drugstore brand. Oh, NYX just did them. Actually, Rhode is coming out with one. That's the one I've been seeing all over social media lately. And again, at the time that I'm filming this, it hasn't been officially released, but there have been like sneak peeks. They're doing a big marketing campaign. I still haven't tried anything from the brand Rhode. It tends to get a lot of hype overall. I know people really enjoy the blushes. There are lip treatments from the brand that people like. I think also some of their skincare. But I think the fact that plumping lip liners are kind of trendy right now, combined with the fact that Rhode Beauty is just getting a lot of hype overall, is going to result in their lip liner launch just going absolutely viral. I'm already seeing people really hype these up on social media.
You are changing the game with every single drop. I'm absolutely obsessed. I hate to be the one to say it, but I do think you need to get at least 2 of these.
Okay, serious question. What shade are we getting?
If I'm being honest here, I do already have an alarm set for the launch so that if I decide that 4 is not enough, I'm locked, loaded, and ready to go.
They retail for $24, which, you know, compared to other high-end lip liners might be similarly priced. But I really don't understand the whole plumping claim when it comes to lip liners. I think a lot of these brands are claiming that they have like skincare ingredients that they're meant to plump the lips initially and then also over time. I think skincare ingredients in makeup could be like a whole separate video because that has become, again, so trendy over the last few years. But I find it interesting that brands are kind of using that to market lip liners these days. There are a million lip liner formulas out there. And even though a brand claims that it is a plumping lip liner formula due to the ingredients and that it will plump your lips initially and over time, I really don't think they really can fulfill that promise, at least based on like the 5 different plumping lip liner formulas I've tried over the past year. Not one of them has actually made my lips look fuller or visibly plumped them up. Because they're lip liners, I think as a whole, their job is to make your lips look a little bit fuller, unless you're mainly just using them to kind of fill in and soften the lips or contour. But a lot of these brands are like, overline your lips or, use them to create definition and contour. And the way they're telling you to use the products is going to cause your lips to look fuller no matter what formula you're using. And if your lips actually look fuller, it's probably not due to the ingredients or the formula, but more so the way you're applying the product and creating that visual appearance of fuller lips by overlining or contouring or, defining your lips in a certain way. Even if these products truly have ingredients that are meant to plump the lips, are they really going to be that effective by applying a very thin layer, especially just by lining your lips and not even filling them in? Most likely not. If you're looking to get true plumping benefits, I would just stick with your actual skincare products or maybe a lip balm that's on your lips overnight or all day long rather than a lip liner. So it will be interesting to see the amount of hype the Rhode lip liners get. I think the colors are pretty, and sometimes that's really key when it comes to a certain product. Brands don't always do the range that they need to, whether it is nude shades or bright shades or deep shades. But I also think it comes down to the fact that Rhode is super popular. People love Hailey Bieber's makeup style, and plumping lip liners are really trendy right now. Okay, I was going to end the video with Patrick Ta. This has been a pretty long video already, so we'll just kind of glaze over the brand as a whole. But I think a lot of Patrick Ta launches were extremely overhyped in 2024. His glowy foundation, his highlighter duos, his eyeshadow duos. It will definitely be interesting to see the direction of the brand in 2025 because I think some people are getting a little bit of Patrick Ta fatigue. I think the price of the eyeshadow duos was a big turnoff for a lot of people. And I know some people do consider them to be pretty reasonable because if you compare it to how much a brand charges for a single shadow, it doesn't really end up being that much more expensive. But it almost seems like Patrick Ta has been a little bit out of touch over the last few months. And it'll be interesting to see how people feel about the brand in 2025. I feel like people are going to turn on the brand. They're not going to be as interested in new launches. Although he did just launch some new blush duos, which seem to be doing pretty well. They're getting a lot of buzz, but that makes sense because I feel like that is his most popular product that people absolutely love. So instead of launching something new, something that feels very overpriced for what it is, I think that was probably a good marketing move. I don't know if it was strategic or not. I'm sure it was because everything from a business standpoint is most likely strategic. I mean, think about it. If they had done another really what people consider to be overpriced launch, right after the launch of those eyeshadow duos, it would have been just probably a little bit bad for the brand as a whole. So we'll see how people feel about the brand in 2025. I think a lot of people are just sick of really overly priced makeup launches, and a lot of the luxury and high-end brands, even though they do get, as we've said in this video, a ton of hype and they have their viral moments. I don't know if that's going to be quite as much the case in 2025 as people are just kind of rethinking really expensive purchases and just their makeup purchases as a whole. I don't think any of these really overhyped brands are going to be hurting as we head even more into 2025, but I don't think that people are going to be quite as fooled by overhyped launches, by viral products, by overly positive makeup reviews. So it'll be interesting to see where we are at this time next year. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. I had fun chatting about these products. I'm looking at my pile of products and I missed 4 or 5 of them. I might end up doing a part 2. I just feel like this video is already so long. So if you want to see part 2, let me know, but I'll be back very soon with a new video either way. Bye.